So last night, residents in Shepway could vote if they knew about the vote that was taking place to decide whether they wanted new parking charges in their borough. 96.5% of the people who did vote said no, which sounds like a ringing endorsement of the status quo. But as we've been talking about all morning, it doesn't look like local democracy was alive and well yesterday because the turnout was so low. In Hythe, not too bad, 16%. Well, I mean, it's low, isn't it? But not as bad as, Sandgate, 16%. Hythe was 7%. And in Folkestone, just 5%. There are clearly claims today that people didn't know about it. Is that what it's all about? Or is there a certain amount of apathy as well? Let's ask the man who organised the poll. His name is Peter Wallace, and he's from the Folkestone Labour Party. Peter, nice to have you on the show. Good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
How were people told, or were they not? Did they just have to find out about it by hook or by crook?
Yeah, pretty much by hook or by crook. It's the town council and the parish councils of Shepway. It was their meetings that actually called the referendums, and the Shepway District Council that have brought in the parking charges, and it's their parking proposal. So they really should have done the dutiful thing to the people that have elected them and to tell people that there was a referendum on last night. How
would you suggest they should have done that?
Well, just a standard way. You normally send out a polling card or a letter to people, and it's directly addressed. And we know that we've sent ourselves, we campaigned for about 6 weeks. We sent out 26,000 leaflets to people. We were on the front cover of 2 local papers here about 5 weeks out of 8 to tell people about the referendums. We've been in the town campaigning for 4 weekends in a row with a petition. We've been knocking door to door. We've been on your radio programme twice. We've been on ITV Meridian News once. And so we thought we'd done as best as we could, but still, it's not the same as a council actually sending a direct letter with someone's name and address.
To be fair, though, you were wall to wall, weren't you? Locally, you were in the papers, you were on the telly, you were in the radio, you were out in the town square. I mean, most people had an opportunity to clock it at some point or another.
Well, I'm very surprised. I mean, the people that we knew were irate. We had a news agent in Hythe phone up yesterday, and they said we haven't got enough leaflets. We can't give out enough to people. And she was telling me off, going, we need more leaflets. I've just had to go and get some from Aldi's and from the pet shop next door. And so I was getting told off. So the people that know are irate, they're galvanised, they want to take part. And then you go next door and you say, have you heard about the parking referendum? No, what's that? And so it's really hard to get the message out to everybody without having 20,000 people to go and knock on everybody's door to tell them.
You clearly are passionate about local democracy. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing what you do. Do you get despondent when it seems that the local population, for whatever reason, doesn't really care?
Well, I just want to do my best for my town and where I live. And it's actually, I think a lot of people are apathetic because they've never voted. And there's lots of studies to say that if people vote when they're in school, say they're 16, 17, 18, and they take part in some form of election, they're more likely to vote for the rest of their life than someone that votes when they're 19, 20 and they're not in education. And it's one of these weird things that once someone gets into the practice of voting, they'll normally vote for the rest of their life. So there's lots of things about that, about different age groups that don't vote. And we're really just trying to get the message out there to people, but I think it's a shame.
Let me ask you something, Peter. Have we trivialised voting in this country by giving people the opportunity to vote from the comfort of their armchair for pop stars and celebrities twirling around, the dance floor? Have we trivialised what voting is about?
I don't think so. I would like it to be modernised. I mean, I don't see why a generation now that tweets all day, that's on Facebook, that has emails, that has their own blogs. I don't see why we couldn't update the system to actually include some of that with phone voting. I mean, when you go to a polling station, like last night, you don't need any identification to say it's you. You just turn up with your name and address and they let you vote. And it would be exactly the same over the phone, over a text message, over a tweet, to have some kind of identification number and say, this is my vote. And I'm sure, because last night we couldn't have a postal vote, and that meant a lot of people couldn't come out between 4 and 9 last night. I'm sure if we involve people much more and modernise the way we vote, we would give people power back. And democracy is Greek for people power. It means rule of the people. And I think people just don't think that they have the power because they voted for this Tory council to come in after 6 months, and they know they're not going to get another election until 4.5 years. They think, brilliant, this is exactly the time after we've been elected. We can't be unelected for 4.5 years. Let's bring in these massive parking charges, and hopefully in 4.5 years from now, people have forgotten about it, that it was us that did it, and we'll get elected again. And I think people know they're being cheated by this system that they can't actually. I've spoken to councillors who've said they've never had so many letters about one issue. And councillors have said that.
Do we help, though? I mean, I feel culpable when we talk about democracy. You know, we've got local newspapers going to the wall. I'm just reading in front of me now that the story of Christine Rayner, the editor of the East Kent Gazette, which is about to publish its last ever edition. You know, there was a move away from talking about politics on lots of BBC local radio stations for a while, and I'm glad to say that I think that time has passed. Most areas of the country, the local politics show on the BBC has a declining audience. Is it our fault because we don't talk about it properly and we don't engage people properly, or are people just, you know, it's just a very difficult thing to get people interested in politics, especially local politics?
Well, I wouldn't blame the media. I would say that the politics is something that's every day. I mean, if you go to work every day and you meet someone that's being paid £1 an hour on an apprenticeship scheme, and that's political. Why is our country paying someone, a young person, £1 an hour for a job? That's politics, and that's not about having a vote. And that's something you can get involved in the campaign and write to someone and say, well, you're in charge of this department. You know, do something about it. And I think we need people power, and we need power to come back to the people. I mean, people have been signing petitions, and if you put it in front of their face, they'll sign the petition that they're irate about it. If you knock on the door and you say, would you sign this thing, will you write a letter, they'll get involved. But when you say you're going to have to put all your trust in the council you've never met, that doesn't listen to you, and is of a different political party that you vote for, will you come and vote to say, no, they're not going to listen to me? So I think it's more to do with that.
The political system itself?
Yes, I think you have to give power back to the people. That the parking proposals, we've had a load of people write in comments to the council saying my street could really benefit from a single yellow line, not a parking meter, and it's been dismissed. And a lot of people say, this is my business, it's going downhill because of what the council's doing. Will you listen to me? No, we won't, because you're not a resident, you're not a voter. And you know, these are real people's lives that are affected today. But you can't go and vote for another 3 years, and I think that puts people off. OK. Peter,
it's been really interesting talking to you. I'm going to do something a bit cheeky, and I'm going to say to you this. I think you're very interesting and interested in politics generally. In the new year, you may know, I present the politics show for the South East on BBC One at the weekends. We're looking for some new people who might be able to take part in panels. And if you're interested, do you want your name on the list?
Oh, please, yes, that'd be fantastic.
Stuff. All right, look forward to seeing you on the telly next year.
Can I make one pledge? I think a lot of the reason why people don't vote is because they can't distinguish one party from another. The Conservatives in the 90s said we will bring in tuition fees, and Labour were against it. And then as soon as Labour got in, they brought in tuition fees. And then the Lib Dems said they were against it. The Lib Dems get in and they treble tuition fees. And I think people can't distinguish between the parties. And what we're saying locally is we are campaigning now. We want free parking in Shepway. It's always been that way. We want to keep it that way. If the Tory Council bring in the parking meters, we will promise we will remove the parking meters if we are elected. And if we don't remove the parking meters, we'll resign.
OK,
that's our promise.
Peter, thank you. Peter Wallace, and that was a party political broadcast by the Labour Party for Folkestone. Thank you very much indeed. Peter was talking about why local democracy matters. Does it matter to you?